August the 29th at about 7:15 in the morning. It's been a little while since I've done a video. I've been quite busy with work and stuff, but thought I'd do a little end of summer tour. So we'll start off with the little tropical corner at the back of the garden under this tree here. It's done pretty well, I think. This Persicaria, which I can't quite remember the variety, but that's bedded in nicely, as has my Euphorbia minors Merlot. That seems to be happy. It's got some flowers on there, which is nice. The Fatsia japonica at the back seems very healthy and happy in the ground there, as does the Cordyline Red Star, which is next to it. Doesn't seem to be having any problems. It's put on a bit of size, so that's nice. My fuchsia Mrs. WP Wood seems happy there as well. However, quite a lot of fuchsia gall, which is a bit of a bummer really, because quite a few of the fuchsias seem to be suffering that with this year, but it's just unfortunately part of the parcel growing fuchsias now. As I said, the fuchsia gall mite, which causes this distorted growth, doesn't actually kill the plant generally, but it kind of gives it an unsightly look. I'll show you some more fuchsias around the garden which are suffering with it as well. This Philadelphus that I planted back in late winter put on a bit of size, so I think this one's going to really take off next year, because it's been quite small for quite a while, but it's as I said, putting on some size now, so I'm quite pleased with that. As is this rhododendron variety that I've planted here. It's like some kind of dwarf hedging rhododendron, which tolerates neutral soil. That seems to be fine there, to be honest. It seems to be doing alright. Then over here we've got my fuchsia Magellanica ricotonii, which had loads of flower buds on it, but I think the wind's knocked them all off. But again, I think it's just going to take a season for the plant to establish. Everything seems to be doing okay around here, so that's nice. And over on my little mini bed that I have planted sort of opposite that lot, my Fatsia polycarp has pushed out a load of new growth, which is good, because it had been chewed down quite badly by pests, but I think that's establishing in there nicely. Got some little kind of alpine style plants, little mini euphorbia in there. They seem happy enough, but whether they get through the winter I don't know. Some kind of palm that my friend gave me, and behind it this echium, which out of all the echiums I've planted is looking the nicest, so very pleased with that. And then we've got this bed down here, just looking pretty scraggly now, and again we've got a Mrs. WP Wood fuchsia in here, but as you can see there's more gall mite down there. Could really do with tidying up these nasturtiums, to be honest, because they're kind of taking the bed over and making it look very untidy. But yeah, I'm probably going to rearrange this bed next year. Acid loving bed is doing fine. This rhododendron black gold seems happy enough, as does this little Acer emerald lace. That seems happy there. And then we've got my camellia at the back, and you can see it's put on a fair amount of growth since I planted it, so I think that's happy there. This Pieris japonicas seems to be okay. I took out my dying rhododendron étoile de Slade-Inge because it was basically a goner, and replaced it with this dwarf Pieris. But again, this one seems to be going yellow, dropping leaves and stuff, so I got a feeling this one's going to die in exactly the same spot, so maybe it's a sign that I need to stop planting stuff here. And over here we have got another bed with half-eaten hydrangea, some variegated hydrangea, ferns, some weeds, a little hebe I've planted in there, some nice begonias, and then finally, I wasn't actually expecting it to flower this year, but this hedychium that I planted at the end of June is flowering. It looks very nice. Very nice flower on that. Very happy with that. I'm hoping that it will repeat flower next year. I'll have to wait and see on that one. And then next to it we've got this penstemon. I can't remember the variety. I think it might be penstemon blackbird possibly, but that's doing fine. And then we've got another penstemon that I've planted in the ground down here. I really should keep the labels. Penstemon snowstorm. It did have loads of flower buds on it, and there's some more flowers coming, I think, but they've just currently faded a little bit. And then next to it we've got Hebe lilac. It's finished its flowering cycle, hence why it's got the little dried up buds on. But yeah, seems quite happy there. And then this gorgeous Crocosmia Warburton's Bright Eyes. Lovely, lovely pop of colour for this one here. Definitely going to be getting some more Crocosmia for the garden. But yeah, it really stands out on a dull day like today. And then up on this bed here, my Persicaria Purple Fantasy is doing absolutely fine. We've even got a little flower bud coming on there, so that's nice. But that seems to establish pretty well. Getting a nice flush of flowers on this scabious here. My Acer that I planted over here is doing well. It was doing okay until I strimmed it, and now it's kind of looking a bit straggly, but hopefully that'll heal up and carry on growing. Another variety of penstemon. This seems to have flopped down, so might have to prune that back. That geum there is looking healthy enough, so might get some more flowers this year, possibly, might not, but hopeful that next year we will. And at the back there we have got Himalayan honeysuckle. I cannot remember what variety that is, but there is the label down there somewhere. I really should probably log down what plants I'm planting. Little osmanthus down there, that's looking happy enough. Hasn't put much growth on, but I'm sure it's absolutely fine. And then I've got my hellebore that I planted back in, I think it was January. I should have probably cut back the leaves. I've not really done anything to it, so I'm hoping it will just kind of regrow. But yeah, I mean, it's looking alive, just a little bit tattered from slugs and snails. But yeah, hopeful that will put on a display in winter. Got some nice compost brewing in there. That's probably going to be ready by springtime, I reckon, in my compost bin there. that's ready to use. So in a couple of well, in about a month's time, I'll be mulching the beds down there with the compost that's in here. But I've got my clematis cuttings just chilling on top of the compost bin for the time being. It rained really heavily last night, so this is full of water, so I better empty that in a minute. This clematis that I planted in the ground next to the shed, it's still got 1 or 2 buds coming on it, to be honest. But it seems happy in there, so I'm hopeful this is going to carry on growing here quite happily. This bed's a bit of a mess along here, although these alyssums are looking rather nice, so they've done quite well. But you can see I'm sheet mulched this bed, but it hasn't stopped the grass invading again, so I might have to sheet mulch it again in the sort of mid-autumn time. So my clematis Montana Broughton Star did put a lot of growth on, but it just gets absolutely mullered by slugs and snails. So there's a few leaves on it still. I'm just hoping it's got enough energy left to sprout more growth next spring. So I'm hopeful it will do, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. My star jasmine pink showers seems fine in the ground there. Even got a little flower bud there, so that's nice. I still have a big wall of plants in pots along here, which I kind of need to figure out what I'm doing with, but it's difficult finding the time when you're working. But yeah, as I said, with regards to the fuchsia gallmite, this variety of fuchsia is called Bonisa hardy, and I think I might have mentioned in a previous video that this particular fuchsia variety gets absolutely murked by gallmite, and you can kind of see all the distorted growth on the plant, which is a bit of a shame. It's a nice fuchsia. But yeah, some years it's worse than others, and it's been kind of bad this year. It's probably got something to do with the weather, I don't know. Hanging baskets are looking a little tired now, which is what you'd expect because it's very nearly September. So we're kind of looking at autumn now, really, to be honest. I've still got some flowers on these snapdragons that I've been growing in this pot, so they've provided quite a lot of nice colour this summer, so pleased with those. Got my butylon here. Apparently this is hardy, but I might just kind of give it some protection because it's quite a dainty plant really, but I'm hopeful that'll come back. This nice little pink rose flowering still. And there's still quite a bit of colour in the garden, which is nice, but it is beginning to fade a little bit. Got some fresh buds forming on my Perfect Harmony rose. Need to deadhead that. Geraniums are still flowering. Didn't do particularly well with the chilies this year. I just do not think I grew them in the right position, so I'm going to have to think again next year, but I have had a few chilies off them, so it's better than nothing. This hanging basket's still going strong. I think regular deadheading has kept the petunias going, so that looks quite nice still. Got some more buds appearing on the rose. This is the hybrid tea rose, You're My Everything, and it's got really vibrant, ready flowers on. So I really like this one. I'm glad it's gonna flower again. Here's my Mahonia soft caress. Growing it in the pot for this year. I'm thinking of maybe planting it out in the landscape next springtime, but we'll see how much size it puts on. It seems happy enough there for the time being. And this Penstemon strawberries and cream just keeps going and going and going. And fortunately, I've taken some cuttings of it which have rooted, and they're in this cold frame over here. So I'm going to have quite a few of these in the garden next year, hopefully. And this little Penstemon here, I can't remember what this one's called. Pina Colada, I think. It's like a mini version of that one. But that seems okay. So that's nice. My Acer's got completely sun-scorched, which is a bit of a shame, but it happens. I don't think I've got this Acer in the right position, really, because the sun kind of, when it's a hot day, in the middle of the day, the sun is about here and it is beating down, and that's why that's completely frazzled. But I'm still learning the garden, you see, so next year I might have to reposition some stuff. Bought myself another bamboo. This one's your classic Varghese Asian Wonder. Bought it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Really need to plant it out, but I've still yet to decide where to plant it. I have to think on that one. And then my Tetrapanix Steroidal Giant. I was hoping it would put on some size. It just seems to just be stalled. So I'm going to have to protect this over winter and then plant it out soon as May rolls around next year, because apparently once these are in the ground they put on size really quick. But if I can just get this through till spring, then I'll be happy. So over in my cold frame, I've got some Himalayan honeysuckles which I pulled out of the ground because they were self-seeding, so I thought I'd grow a few more of those. My usual stock of Hebes, because they're lovely and easy to root. Fuchsia garden news. This is done very well, in fact. Like, this one's already got flowers on, nice big flowers. It's a lovely fuchsia, that one, so I'm looking forward to having more of those in the garden. And then here are my Penstemon strawberries and cream cuttings. They seem absolutely fine. They're going to stay in there for, well, until late spring really, and then I might plant them out. So quite pleased that they're doing so well. Here's my Schefflera digitata. This is doing alright, to be fair. It's pushing out some new growth at the top, so that, I'm sure that must mean it's happy here. Just hoping it will get through the winter. I mean, being Cornwall, we tend to have fairly mild winters, so I'm hopeful that I'll be okay. Disappointingly, my Hydrangea paniculata vanillefraise from Burncoose Nurseries has died. Probably through neglect. I mean, I did try to keep it watered, but I think it just got mullered by slugs and snails, so it's completely bare. I think it's a goner. I'll leave it in the ground until next year and then we'll see what happens. But what I should have probably done is grown it on in a pot for a year, then put it out when it was put it in the ground when it was a bit bigger, I think. But never mind, you live and learn. Over here we have got my Fuchsia Magellanica, which is looking rather nice. Although I've got a feeling we have the signs of some gall mite there. It's quite depressing with the gall mite on fuchsias, but it's just part of the parcel. There's another Crosmia here. I don't think I planted this one, I think it was just already there, but finishing its flowering cycle, looks very nice. And next to it the Buddleia alternifolia. It's put on loads of growth. So this one's going to be a beast next year, I can just tell. You can see it's put on quite an amount of size in a short space of time, so pleasing. Honeysuckle's doing absolutely fine. Got lots of tomatoes, but I think because they're against this fence, they are suffering with slugs and snails attacking them. So I might have to think on about where I plant them next year. But it's nice to see them doing so well with regards to their actual fruiting habit. So yeah, pleased with that. I've had quite a few tomatoes off them and they are delicious, of course. And then this bed over here with the hydrangeas, looking pretty overgrown. Hydrangeas are sort of losing their colour, the flower buds, but I'm going to leave them on because apparently if you leave on the flower buds then it helps protect the shrub over winter, so I'll leave them on and then clip them off next spring. But yeah, mainly successes in this bed, but unfortunately the echium that I bought seems to have died back, which is a bit of a shame. Because again, I think I bought that from Burncoos Nurseries, but never mind. But this Penstemon Eleanor Young doing very nicely. My Penstemon Dakota Burgundy I think is going to put on another mini display before the season's out. My cutting of a star jasmine, white star jasmine, has established itself. Seems to be growing up the fence now, which is nice. So yeah, predominantly a success. The little loquat tree is doing alright, to be fair. I'm going to have to up-pot that again next year, I think. Clematis montana grandiflora. Yeah, it's fine, but it's just been attacked by slugs and snails again, and that's just a reoccurring theme, I think. But I'm hoping this will really take off next spring, having spent a year in the ground there. So over down here we've got an echium, little baby echium, which I bought from a gentleman on Facebook Marketplace. Actually, I think there might be two, possibly, I don't know, might have just been branching, I don't know. But that seems okay. That's putting on some size, so I'm guessing that's happy there. And the good thing is, the Star Jasmine Star Wars that I bought, that was completely kind of stalling and not really doing anything, seems to have put on quite a bit of extra growth all of a sudden in the last month. So I think maybe it's finally got its legs down in the ground and starting to put some top growth on, which is nice. My little experimental bed that I planted some plants in, and basically the previous owners had just piled loads of grass clippings in here, which weren't fully rotted down. So as an experiment I planted a few little plants and cuttings and stuff in here to see what would work. Got two euonymus, which seem absolutely fine. Star Jasmine that I planted in there didn't like it, it's died. Hebe that I planted in there seems happy enough. This Himalayan honeysuckle was looking fine, but now it's looking kind of weirdly brown and yellow, so I'm not sure why, but maybe it doesn't like the high nitrogen of the grass clippings, I don't know. This cheapy climbing rose that I bought as a bare root is doing really well actually. It's put on loads of growth. I just planted it down there in February I think, but yeah, that's done pretty well. Had a few flower buds on it and now it's starting to climb through the fence. pleased with that. Down here, again probably in the wrong place, is my Buddleia Sun Gold, which has had a few flower buds. In fact, there's some more flower buds forming there. You can see where the old ones were. It did look rather nice, but again I might have to dig this one up and plant somewhere else, I think, but that's next spring's consideration, I think. I'm not entirely sure what this plant is, but it was one of the bare root plants that I bought from the supermarket, but again that seems to have established in the ground quite well. Probably become clear what that is in spring, summertime next year when it produces its flowers, I guess, I don't know. Another bare root climbing rose that's finally started to grow. Even got a little flower bud on there, which is nice. Another little echium down here. In fact, this is 2 echiums, so I should probably split those up, but that's doing okay. I just hope it puts on enough size so that when winter rolls around it doesn't get completely destroyed by frosts or wind and stuff like that. And I have my scented jasmine that is changing to its sort of autumny colours now, but that's done really well since I planted it in the ground, and it's sort of spread out along this wire trellis. But I think next year it's really going to romp along here, which is nice. Bay tree that I planted in the ground there seems reasonably happy. It's put on a little bit of growth at the top. Here's a Sasa bamboo that I've got in a pot that my friend gave me. That under no circumstances is going to be planted in the ground. Oh no. But yes, it's that kind of late summer vibe where you can sort of sense a bit of autumn coming. The leaves on the trees are starting to go like a really dark colour, and you know it won't be long until they start to fall. So ordinarily I'd feel kind of sad that summer's come to an end, but I'm actually quite excited to start buying spring bulbs. So no doubt when I do start accumulating spring bulbs, I'll do a video to update everyone on that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little tour. And I'll see you again in the next video.